Hi, this is Kimile, and you're listening to Heal with Kimile podcast. Today, I'm going to talk about dealing with loss and moving forward in life when you've gone through a major event in your life. And I do believe that God will put us back together in front of those who broke us, in front of whatever life circumstance that broke us. But I would say to you, if you're going through some sort of major life event, a betrayal, a loss of home, been in the fires in California, whatever's going on in your life, you want to be able to move forward. If someone's betrayed you, delete the number, delete the pictures, stop talking about them to other people, stop living in that story, stop taking it personal. I know it's hard, but stop taking it personal. And accept the lesson and move forward. We all have a path. We all should know this. We all have a path. We all have a journey. We all have a calling. We're not here by chance. There's no accidents that you're born. If you're born, you have a purpose in this life. And when life happens in the form of betrayal, when somebody hurts us, when we can't trust them anymore, and that will happen. When we go through a loss, that will happen. No matter what it is that is now happening that's forever changing our future, there's a moment between then and the future that's in the meantime. And in the meantime is when I feel like God is present. And there is a choice. This is either going to break you, it's either going to stop you, and you won't ever recover from this point and never move forward, or you will. And I feel like when people have these type of things that are going on, and everybody has something, we've all been betrayed. We all have lost. People die. We're all going to go through one of these experiences, whether you lose your job. Again, something happens, the carpet's just yanked out from underneath your life and you're reeling in the universe. When that happens, remember there's a rhythm to you. There's a heartbeat. There's an essence. And that rhythm is, again, the purpose, the soul, your calling. You have a calling. You have a reason for being. And it doesn't have to do with your wife or your husband or your friends. It has to do with who you are, who you're born to be. It's your essence. When something's happened and your future is now uncertain and you're living in a tent, like people in Carolinas, that they didn't have any support. This is like something catastrophic that happens in our lives. When that happens, you have a choice in how you're going to respond. And I'm not saying it's easy, but this is being done for you, not to you. It's being done for us, not to us in any sort of situation like this. So with the heartbeat of that rhythm of who you really are in your life, when you can just get still and listen and not be, seeking an outcome or trying to change something, when you have acceptance, when you can lean into accepting exactly what has just happened, that's when warp speed ahead happens for people. It really is that you surrender to the journey and you trust the journey. I have seen so many people go through catastrophic loss, major things happening. They've lost children, which I can't imagine anything worse than losing a child. Or they've lost their home to a fire. Or they've had someone suddenly pass away, like a spouse that was their lifetime partner, and they had plans to live out the rest of their lives together. Or they got fired, or the company went under, or there's so many things that happen to us, right? Best friends betray us, business partners betray us, steal our money, banks go under. Something is going to happen to all of us in life that will derail us. And the intention is to get you out of that scenario, out of that situation. And what I mean by that is, when something major happens like that, I always say, okay, I smell God here. Because what is happening is you're out of your routine. You're kind of in animated suspension. You're out of your body, so to speak. Life got interrupted. And it wasn't going to get interrupted unless something like that happened for you, for me, for us. And so the autopilot, the luxury, everything that we liked or we're used to is gone. Poof. Now there's a whole new life ahead. You have no clue. And that's almost the beauty of it. There's no clue what lies ahead. Before it was predictable. We were believed, what we were doing. It was just that routine. But it seems like nowadays life is happening so fast to people that the routines or the comforts or the luxury life that they want to live, it isn't available as much anymore. I'm watching things happen at a rapid pace to people, for people. But it's something that takes you out of your autopilot way of living. I also think people kind of get so comfortable they fall asleep at the wheel in their life. So when one of these events happen, there's like a moment of pause. And as you pause, you got to look at, and I'm not saying you don't grieve and you don't feel and emote and cry and get angry. All that stuff's part of the process of change. But when change comes, and it will to everybody, remember to pause and just be. Be with, absorb it. If you can't start accepting it for what it is, and you fight the reality, you will stay stuck, which is not helpful. I think it's designed to teach us something, right? People that have more pain in life usually have the most compassion in life. They're recovered from something. But when you can let go of your life as you know it, and you can be in the presence of that and you can accept it, now you can get back to who you really are and feel the rhythm of your life, feel the rhythm of your soul, because there's a reason you're still here. And when you can let that happen and you can feel it and you let that lead you, you get aligned with who you really are, because there's nothing left. There's nothing else. That identity, who you used to be, that identity now is shattered. It's broken. You're no longer that employee with that title. You're no longer in that marriage with that person. You're no longer a mother, potentially, or a father, potentially. You're no longer married to that person. So, again, your identity that you thought who you were is over. Your money's gone. You're no longer a millionaire, billionaire. So when that happens, you're now back to you. You're back to ground zero. You're back to starting over with nothing. And if you let that essence of who you really are drive your life, when you get broke down, your future is able to take a turn. There's probably a radical turn happening. And know that God's there. Know that God's right there with you. And prayer is available to everyone. Everyone has the ability to pray and tap in spiritually. So God's right there for you, for us when this happens. And that moment in life, I call it the meantime, where you're kind of in between worlds, that's where there's such fertile energy here. Fertility happens because anything's possible moving forward. It's not predicted. In the past life, the last life you lived, it's predictable. You're going to get up, you're going to go to work, you're going to do this, you're going to do that. And you take a vacation every summer. There's all these predictable ways of being. When that kind of happens, when the change happens, there's nothing predictable about your life. That's powerful, scary. But now something else can show itself to you. It doesn't have to be you figuring it out. You have to trust the process of your life. These things happen for your highest and best good. And if you think like that, if you can live like that, your highest and best good will come to you. So in the moment in life when things are kind of animated suspension, it's the meantime. And when that meantime comes, you're no longer predicted. It's like there's something happening. There's a phenomenon that occurs when people go through these kind of experiences. Even myself, when I've had betrayals and I've had to change my life and start over, there's almost a huge growth opportunity that presents itself if you're ready and if you're willing. And the phenomena is you're no longer capable of BS. Like you don't want to be impressed. You don't want to be around liars. You quit lying if you're lying. If you're living a lie that lies over, like you're more authentic than any other time in your existence, because life just got real and you don't care about judgment. You don't care what they think of you. It doesn't matter anymore. That's freeing. Like that is totally freeing. And it isn't for the lighthearted. It's not for weak people. It is for people that are somebody, or they're willing to take on their life and be somebody. But that pain creates a crack, if you will, in your life, and you get to move forward. Those life-altering moments, I say, accelerate your growth as a soul and make you more authentic and more honest in your world. And then what are you going to spend your spirit on? What are you going to plant yourself in? It's going to be something that resonates with you. It can't be something just for money or for material world. When you lose something huge, people look up. They start seeking God. They start seeking answers, real answers. And they want to align with who they really are and what they really are. They want to do something meaningful. Like, again, the superficial stuff doesn't matter anymore to them. I've experienced that with myself. And if you embrace that pain, lean in, accept it. If you let it be what it is what it is. It's not personal. You're not being attacked. It isn't something that you deserve. It's not karma. People want to make it mean something. And if you get caught in that rabbit hole of, oh, this means I wasn't living right, or no, it doesn't. It just means it happened. And you now can linger and wallow in the pain in the past and hang on to a relationship or hang on to something, live in that story, that victim story, or you can move forward. And you can actually let the experience reinvent you. And you can actually come now from your soul, from who you really know yourself to be. And that is legacy. That creates legacy. That creates something real and tangible. People that have pain in their childhood, their misery becomes their ministry. That's been my story. What I went through as a kid, I help people go through heal from the same kind of wound I had. So the change moment can break you or it can make you. And when you move forward, you project yourself into a whole new light. You become someone you never knew you could be. I've talked with so many clients that have recovered from death or loss, and they say, I never knew I was capable of this. I didn't think I could ever do this, So this is how you start really learning who you are and knowing yourself, by overcoming what's happened to you. For you, it's actually for you. But in the moment, you don't know that. You just have this moment of trauma, moment of shock, and you don't know how you're going to keep breathing. You don't know how you're going to get through the next day. So taking that next step and starting over introduces you to a whole new version of yourself where you don't live a lie anymore. And you're not about making other people happy. You're about becoming authentic and real. And if you've gone through something like death or loss or betrayal or, tragedy, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And the people you're surrounding yourself with are the real deal. You're not going to be around people that are superficial and not able to really be honest or true to you. You get more aligned, you get more serious. And, not that it's so significant, but you're just not going to deal with any BS. I'm working with a woman right now, and she's been married for, I think 48 years. And her husband has left her, and he's almost 80, and she's in her 70s. It just has gutted her. She's leaned on him so much. She's been dealing with a lot of health issues, and he's left her for this younger girl, this younger woman. He's got money, they don't have money troubles, but it has just put her in this funk, of course. And does she want to live? Is she going to keep living, or does she want to die? These health issues could really take her down, or they could get better. And what I've watched her do is become resilient. There's a flicker of fight in her that I'm trying to help spark, for her to decide she's going to champion herself. And I'll be darned if her health hasn't got radically better since he's left her. It's really amazing to me. I mean, it's such a cliche, isn't it? When older guys find a younger girl, and what's the motivation for that? His junk doesn't work. It's got a heart issue. He's got his own health issues. But it's like this cliche of, I just want to have a young girl. I just want to. And as I'm talking to the wife, my client, and she's so devastated, I said to her, look, there's a moment of shock. Walk me through that. When was that moment when you realize the truth has hit you? Oh my gosh, it's over. Or he really is cheating, or that betrayal. The moment of shock is the betrayal, when she recognizes, wow, I don't know this man anymore. And when someone does betray you like that, you've known for 40 plus years, 50, whatever, it doesn't, 5 years. You know someone for a long time and they do betray you. You really have to pull back because your perspective is so odd. You don't know them. You thought you knew them, and that's the jolt. You're in two different realities now, because who is this person? It's crazy. But what she went through was she blamed herself. And we do. When there's a trauma and a shock and someone betrays us, they screw around on us. Then we go, well, what did I do wrong? Why did I deserve this? What did I do to deserve this? And I said, well, okay, what have you made up? What are you saying to yourself? Why do you deserve this? Well, I guess I wasn't pleasing him anymore. We weren't having sex, or, I wasn't good enough for him. Maybe I'm too old, or I'm sick all the time. Then that, this is why, because it's got to be her fault. And that's normal to blame yourself when someone betrays you. Odd, but it's true. So it must be her fault that he's doing this. And I said, take me back before, a year ago. Is there anything that's happened to him? Because I don't think it's about her. She's been sick for years. So if it was her being sick, he would have been gone years ago. Okay. I think it's about him. And when people betray us, that's something to remember, is this isn't something I caused. That person's going through something on their own. And this is the path they chose for their reasons. So what happened to him that he might want to be on the run, emotionally, especially? And she told me that he almost died with COVID, and that she saved his life. I mean, she insisted on the doctors, insisted on things. So she really made sure he got well. So he was facing his own mortality. And I said, look, that's a moment of trauma. That's a moment of shock for him. And so, he gets better. He still has a little health issue, some health issues. He's got prostate stuff. He's got heart stuff, typical stuff for a man that age. And then one of his best friends passed away. So he's looking down the road of his life and he's realizing he may only have one or two more Christmases, one or two more birthdays. He doesn't know. And he said to her multiple times, I think I'm next. I think I'm going. I think I'm next. So this guy's dealing with something about his own mortality. His dad died when he was 10. So he knows what death is. He's experienced it, which he probably never processed, never dealt with either. By the way, back when he was a little guy, people don't usually do therapy when they're kids like that. So he's going through some sort of trauma about his own mortality. And the shot of whiskey comes around. The shot of whiskey is, tits and ass, some new girl at work, younger, friendly, funny. She's in her 40s, 50s. And they strike up a relationship and it's hidden from my client. Of course, it's an affair. And it devastated my client. But what I've asked her to look at is all sides of this. And if I said, look at you before he betrayed you, look at you after he betrayed you, and do this in your own life. Look at yourself before the betrayal. Look at yourself after. Are you better off now than you were back then? Are you worse off now? You have to sit and process that stuff. Her health has gotten better. It had to. She's now having to cook. She's now having to clean. She's now having to drive herself to the store. She's having to become independent or she doesn't have things. She's not going to be able to get things done. And she doesn't want to hire anybody to come in and do it. She wants to figure it out and make herself feel better. So her health has actually improved. Well, that's not a bad thing that happened then. I know it's painful for her, but I'm having her see that maybe him leaving her wasn't about her. It was about him and being afraid of dying. So he came back recently and he just said, can I come and sit and pet the cat? She let him, come back in the house and he petted the cat and then he left. But there's going to be a moment in this man's life. Again, you can't run from yourself like that. But after a 45, 48-year marriage, that wasn't a bad marriage. They had a great marriage. As according to her, she loved him and he loved her. But there's going to be a moment in his life when he looks back and realizes he probably had it all. But I think he's running from death. He's not running from her. And as I helped her see that, her mood lightened a little bit. She's like, I kind of think maybe you're onto something here. But I said, you've got to look at what you put yourself down for and why you think you deserve that. What if you don't deserve it? And she's going to change her life. She's going back home to the Carolinas where she's from. And she's got a lot of family and support there. She's going to start over. She's really willing to start over. The paperwork and the divorce is getting handled. She's going to start over. A lot of relationship stuff, kind of easier to start over than if your house burns to the ground or if you have a child die. Another woman that I'm working with has just recently lost a son and he was murdered. 16-year-old shot. So this dear client is dealing with all of a sudden, she's getting up, taking him to school, only child. She's a single mom. Her world revolved around her son. And he is a good student, tall, good looking, athletic, headed potentially to some really good things with his sports. Very good kid. And loved Jesus, would pray, insisted mama prayed. Very spiritual kid. And he'd been hazed by this group of, I want to call them brats, just little hoodlums, they're just targeting people, being mean. And the irony is not ironic, but I guess maybe truth. My client's son was killed. And 2 weeks prior to that, the killer's big brother shot someone else. And so he's a murderer. So we've got two brothers, 17 and 16, that are both killers. The trial is going to start soon here for one of the brothers. But these boys and where are their parents, what's happening in their life, that they're doing this kind of stuff, right? But when this mother comes to me and she doesn't want to live, and the grandmother comes in and they don't, their life is literally shattered. They don't have a future to live into. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about when you have a earth-shattering event that is a shock. And it may not be a punch physically, but you feel soul slammed. Psychically, there's just screaming. And it's like they're in shattered pieces, their spirits in shattered little pieces. When something like that happens, you leave your body. And then you really want to leave your body. So you may not care if you live or die. Now, that's a dangerous place to be because you're grieving so much, you're just untethered. And so they're not as careful. They can start fires. They can, get in car wrecks when you're not in your right mind because you're grieving so badly. And then motivation to get up and get out and do your life, it doesn't happen. So I did a video a while ago about, what you can do if you're grieving to kind of keep your life going, which is create a routine, stick to your routine, have conversations, routine conversations with people that are listening and supportive of you. But as I'm working with this mom and this grandmom, the senselessness of it, there's no rhyme, no reason. This was not for anything. He wasn't fighting with them. He's the one saying, I don't know you. Why are you throwing rocks at me? Why are you doing this? He wasn't afraid. He wasn't afraid of these kids. And he was bullied years in the last year, especially in school. School districts got some answers to come up with, but this mother and the grandmother, they don't know why. And I said, I want you to really consider that his life doesn't have to end. Who was he? What did he stand for? What is his purpose? And everything was, he wanted people to get along. And he was truly like a missionary. He would pray. He would talk about Jesus. He would talk about his faith. And he really wasn't an afraid person. So he wanted people to like him. He wanted to be likable. If he needed to, he could, get mad. He wasn't a pushover. But he was so mature for his age, so mature. And he would bring people to prayer. He would bring people in to get along. He was a peacemaker. And I said, well, what if that doesn't change? What if you pick up your bed and walk with me? But, one of the scriptures says that. And you continue the legacy of your son and your grandson. What if you make sure this stolen life wasn't in vain? That it wasn't just, and it ruined you. And it ruined your lives. You don't have a life now. This is something you have to fight for. Now, you've got to fight to live. And you've got to fight to keep him alive. And his name will be known. And his purpose will be known. And his love will be shared. I know it feels impossible to just have any other purpose after your reason, your why for living is gone. But if your why for living is gone, that's part of the journey. And it's awful to say that. But it doesn't have to literally kill you too, unless you let it. And these two women, look, I got no judgment. And everybody has the prerogative, if they want to quit life, then they quit life. And I don't know what else, what else would make you want to do that? So of course you'd want to just stop your life and quit living. Or what's next? And I'll tell you how clarity comes is, what about this? What about that? Nope. Like nothing matters except for righting this wrong in some way, telling the truth, getting the people held accountable that allowed this, created the issues, and didn't prevent it when they could, and then also, handling the murderer, the killer. So there's a process they're going through, and there's going to be stages of grief with this and stages of healing with this. But I say to them, let this misery become your ministry. I mean, that's what I'm saying. When something like this happens, you are very clear now who you're meant to be and what your future is, what you're going to do. Nothing else will smell good, taste good. It won't be a fit for you. All that matters now is to make sure that their grandson is honored and his life path is honored. And he's going to continue to live on because they're going to keep him alive in many, many ways. And in that journey, there's going to be people that she's going to meet that are just like her, that have lost someone they loved, a child. And they will be able to minister unto other people. And you just keep talking and keep healing and keep going in that direction. So now her life just got redefined for her. Did she want that? Nope. Would she have voted for that? Oh, no. But it really is a process now of her stepping into who she never thought she could ever be. And that's someone who's going to champion the light of her son, the light of love, and she's going to move forward. So this is life. Life is not easy. It's what we're all supposed to go through, is some sort of challenge to rise above. And this is kind of what I feel like I'm gifted at myself. I went through my own tragedies as a kid, and my misery became my ministry. So I love what I do. I love working with people. I do think prayer is very powerful. And I think the first thing people need to do when they're going through, life happening, you start praying. You start looking up and going, okay, give me a sign. I need guidance. Where am I supposed to go from here? But I do know. I can say for every person, your essence, that heartbeat of you that's aligning to your true purpose, it's there. It's real. And all you have to do is be willing to feel it. If you run away from your feelings, hide out, drinking, smoke, whatever, you're not going to grow. You're just staying stuck. And sometimes you stay stuck for a minute. Okay, for a little while till you're ready. But life continues to present opportunities for us if we take them. So when life happens and something happens that you've lost someone or you're going through betrayal or loss of home, etc., just know that that's something you can get through. You can move forward with help. So call to get help. Get your committed support system there for you, and don't give up. Do not give up. If you would like to sit down with me, or you'd like to talk to me on the phone, come in and see me in person, happy to do that. You can find me at healwithkimile.com. That's HEAL with KIMILE.com. Or you can message me at 801-809-2222. 801-809-2222. I really hope that you're taking care of yourself. And again, if you have any life situations that's going on for you and you don't know if you can move forward, call me. I can help. Thank you.